have to worry about giving it. Anyway, hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. This week we'll be discussing some of our New Year's resolutions. I think real quick, programming alert. I would like to let everyone know next week we will be discussing Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. Spoiler alert right now. We will not be discussing it this episode, so you can continue to listen. However, we wanted to give like a week or so to breathe so we didn't ruin any spoilers for anyone. So again, next week, spoiler alert, Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
But today we'll be discussing a New Year's resolutions. Mine are all pretty basic. Nothing special. Mine, I suppose I'll go specifically into my first one, which is just simply a healthier lifestyle. I'm a bit of a man-child. One thing I need to do, as I get older, I realize I just can't live my life the way I used to. Mm-hmm. I need to drink more water. It's as ridiculous as that sounds. If I start getting just a little dehydrated, I'm a little bitch.
Yeah, I hate to, once again, I hate to blame things on retail, but when you work retail, it's really hard to have a set feeding schedule, I guess, if you will. It's really hard for, like, I would have to plan all my meals. I would have to meal prep. And I don't know if you guys have ever meal prepped before, but like if you were to take a Sunday to meal prep what you're going to eat the entire week, that's your Sunday. That's literally all day cooking. Mm-hmm. I can't have that. I cannot find that in me. When we do a good job of cooking at home, I see the results. I feel the results. But every once in a while with our lifestyle, with our schedule, it's really hard. And my biggest issue is the amount of time that I eat out, fast food. And it's not even like a restaurant, like just fast food. Mm-hmm. And luckily, it seems like my body plateaus at like 275. No matter what I do to it, it's not going to pass that. But man, if I have like a good week and I eat like greens and, low carbs and I lose, the nice thing about my body, and usually bigger guys have this problem. We are good about like, we'll gain 5 pounds, but we could lose it just as quickly. But the problem is like, I'll go like 1 week of eating nothing but home cooked meals, very conscious of what's in it. So it's like a lot of veggies and proteins. And then I'll lose like 10 pounds. I'm like, oh, wow. I'll go out and have like a burger and those 10 pounds just boom. Like everything I did that week gets undone by one unhealthy choice.
I'll go straight to his dick.
Yes.
All the way.
So it sucks. It does suck. I wish I had more self-control. I do know my body type. I know like some people who are trying to lose weight and all that stuff, they might not know what's good for them because a carbless diet works for some people, doesn't work for everyone. And that's usually the thing about diets. It's just because it worked for one person doesn't mean it's here we go, do this. I know that if I worked out, I could eat whatever the fuck I want. But the problem is I don't work out. And once again, if I don't even have the schedule, or I do, I mean, when I say I don't have the schedule, I'm saying I'm lazy. When I don't have the schedule to meal prep for a week, I definitely don't have the schedule to go and work out.
Which, I mean, I guess the next portion of my healthier lifestyle is to simply eat less fast food. I don't eat nearly as much as I used to, but I still eat far more than I need to.
Yeah.
It also will go towards my saving money as one of my other New Year's resolutions. And then you touched on it, working out. I want to become a thick boy. Not really. I just want to live a healthier lifestyle. I just, in the morning, as each day goes on, each year goes on, you start getting more and more of those aches and pains in the morning. And I can only assume that, just living a healthier lifestyle will help resolve that. I should here's something. I should stretch every day.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
I've heard Joe Rogan discuss with Diamond Dallas Page. What's his
bang?
What is it? DDP yoga?
Yeah. Yep. It is.
Is that what it is? Okay. Mm-hmm. And how like just basically things that he was saying that he doesn't do anymore ever since he's done this, and that's like he could just pop right up, like going from prone to standing mm-hmm. is like that. And I've noticed, especially after having a kid, man, like yesterday when I was on the ground playing, games or whatever with my daughter, or just unwrapping presents. Going from being down on the ground to standing up was a fucking and then 3 things pop in my legs, and it's like, it's not a quick, like, boom, I'm up. Like, it was an ordeal to stand up.
I was building Legos all yesterday with my son, and he was playing. I was doing the building, he was doing the playing. Some of the Legos, we went to the Lego store. They give you like this free gingerbread house with the purchase, which it's a pretty small gingerbread house, but there's a 1,407 pieces in it. It's all just like the smallest piece possible. Jeez. And I was just like on the ground with him, just putting it together. And yeah, like I feel a little sore today just from being like contorted on the ground, just trying to put together this fucking little baby gingerbread house. It looks pretty awesome though.
From just being in a weird spot. Yep. And not like someone was like submitting you for like 3 hours. It was just, you're just laying maybe funny. Yep. And that was enough to like make you sore. I was sore from throwing a Nerf football around for like 5 minutes. I wasn't chucking it. Mm-mm. I wasn't, I was playing catch with the kids. So I was at worst just kind of like just lobbing it. I was still sore. Now, I don't know how much of this has to do with, well, I'm sure a lot of it has to do with me being out of shape, but also it's probably I've been an athlete for the majority of my life, and there's probably a lot of things that I have aches and pains in now that are as a result of things I did in the past. But with that being said, I know for a fact that I don't do enough moving around. I don't do enough working out. I don't do enough eating healthy, drinking water.
Yep.
Just like little things. I'm awful at taking vitamins. And I know, especially at, my age, our age, you probably should as a person, doesn't matter if you're like male or female, but you should probably take a multivitamin in worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. And I can't even do that. Like, I'll have the fucking bottle next to like the toaster, and I'll see it in the morning, and I'm like, do I really want to twist that open right now? Nah, I'm just gonna go to work, and I don't know what's in me. Like, I don't know how I could fix that little part of my brain that just says, just fucking do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all effort. I'm the same boat. Yeah. Like, the reason I don't make a lunch every day is because I'm like, fuck it. I don't feel like making a lunch. Like, if I'm just telling you right now, if you're listening right now, if my wife made me lunch every morning, I would take it to work. Yeah. This is what even the whole meal planning thing, what makes it even more ridiculous for me. And it's an epiphany I had just recently. Again, I'm a bit of a man child. I referenced that I don't drink enough water. At work, we have a fridge. I'm like, there's like 3 of us that work out of the shop. It's really just 2. It's really just me, honestly. I could just meal prep and just put it in the fridge and boom, boom, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all right there. But I don't. Even so, when I make dinner in the evening, I'll try to make extra for the next day. And I'll just fucking eat it instead. Like, I'll just eat it all instead. And then I'll try to make extra. And then I'll just eat it all instead. And then some things I'm like a little bitch about, like leftover. Certain things I'm like, I can't fuck with that leftover. But we don't make too many of those meals. Again, it's just be a grown man and do it.
Yeah. And have like backup plans. Like, when I do a really good job of taking food to work, I'll swim by and buy some like lean cuisines or some of those like healthy choice, microwave meals, just in case. Like, just in case I don't have time to prep my food, I could just snag one of those. But at the end of the day, it's all just like commitment. You're just committing to, this is what I'm going to do. And I don't have that part of my brain. I wish I could be like The Rock for like a week, where just have that fucking like will to just get up and do it. I don't want to wake up at 3 in the morning and work out. Fuck it. Do it. Like, I don't have that at all. If I wake up at 3 in the morning, I die. First of all, I probably go to bed.
I was going to say, you probably go to bed at 3.
I go to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning.
But
more
so
times
does The Rock. He wakes up at 4.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I follow this man on Instagram. There's times where I know he didn't get more than like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, and he's up in the gym for a 3-hour session. I couldn't do that. Like,
I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Long Shot with Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron.
No.
Anyway, she is like running for president, and at one point they're like flying on a plane. Seth Rogen like knocks on the door of her room, and she's just staying there staring into space. He's like, "Hey, what's up?" And all of a sudden she just panics and she's like, "You woke me up." He's like, "I woke you up. You were asleep. Your eyes were wide open." I'm like, that's how I imagine like The Rock sleeps. He's just like gets like a 45-minute nap and he's like, "All right, let's go."
Yeah.
Takes a smelling salt and just fucking goes.
I mean, I know there's sleep doctors out there that say that, listen, you should be able to, like, you should sleep 8 hours a day. It's healthy for you. They have so many charts out there that, you know, that prove how good sleeping is. I think there's a little bit of how the person is, though. Like, you know, it's some people are just used to certain things. I mean, look at what's that guy who like used to smoke cigars all the time? That actor.
Every fucking actor from the 50s.
George Burns. Is that a name?
Sounds. I mean, and I think George Burns is Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. I don't know. Maybe George Burns. It feels accurate
Burns.
to me.
He always had a stogie. Where's my stogie? Sunglasses, big bushy eyebrows. I believe he had like the first.
Yes, you are correct. It is George Burns. I'm assuming he's got stogies right there. He looks like a guy. He looks like a guy that smokes a lot of cigars.
That's him. He he was told by his doctors, "Hey, like you need to stop smoking." Like apparently he buried like 4 of his fucking doctors.
I mean, but
that's like a, you know, I personally feel there's certain people. I'm not saying it's. I'm gonna stop right now and make sure you understand. I'm not saying it's healthy to smoke. I'm just saying that there's probably certain individuals in this planet that just something works for them. And if they were to divert from that, if Burns would have stopped smoking and started eating
his body
nothing but broccoli, he would have just dropped dead.
By the way, Mr. Burns' name is Charles Montgomery Burns.
Oh, is that his, like,
yes, in the show. The nickname was Monty.
Oh, in The Simpsons.
Yes,
okay.
Sorry. George Burns is still George Burns.
There's certain people that just, you know, that are just programmed some way, you know, and as much as I do believe that, yeah, you should be able to get 8 hours of sleep, and that's what your goal should be. I'm sure there's a lot of individuals out there. I'm one of them that, you know, I mean, I can't say that I function well. I do. Like, I don't fall asleep at work or anything like that, but I am sometimes just a waste of space because I'm exhausted from a lack of sleep, but I can still function. I'm sure there's people out there that just are the same way. They don't have to sleep 8 hours a day. They could sleep 4 to 6 and be just fine, and that's just how their body's programmed. I don't know how long I'll be able to do this lack of sleep thing I do, but I don't know. I have too much fun at night. That's a problem. Like I come home and everyone's in bed, and it's like this is me time. If I go to bed early, I'm cutting into me time.
George Burns remained in good health for most of his life. He apparently exercised regularly, swimming, walks, sit-ups, and push-ups. He eventually died, but he had a head injury falling in the bathtub.
Oh, he didn't even die because of like natural
causes. That's why I was trying to. He underwent surgery to remove the fluid in his skull, which he just never recovered from.
How old was he? Because
he made it 100. Holy shit!
Okay,
he was driving all the way up to 93 years old. That's probably not a good idea.
I was pretty positive he made it into the triple digits.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And this dude was like a stogie a day. They always had one in his mouth.
Born 1896 and died in 1996.
Damn.
A year and 2 months old when he died. Anyway.
96, wasn't that when Tupac died? Or was that 92?
Around 90, no, it was like 95, 96, something like that. Yeah. But those weren't natural causes either.
No. But
I also lived a probably carefree lifestyle.
Yeah. But again, I mean, take everything listen, I'm not a fucking expert. Take everything what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I'm saying just there's probably people out there. I mean, it's not a crazy thought if you think about it. There's probably someone out there that their body's just programmed to do something a certain way, or maybe they're used to doing it a certain way. That's all they know, and their body adjusts. And you know, it's like these crazy ass alcoholics that you hear about that they'll blow like a 0.5 or something crazy, where that would literally kill like most people, but they built up a tolerance where that's okay for them.
Life is just a big roulette table, you know. Yeah. It's all chance. I suppose I would segue to my next New Year's resolution.
You go ahead and do that. I'm going to go get my stogie.
Save more money. I for the most part, me and my wife do a pretty good job of saving money, but I think you can always be saving, especially we both got a couple surgeries coming up. Not going to talk about it. I'm having LASIK. I'm a little excited. Anyway, but
he's having one of those penile enhancement.
Yeah, reduction.
He basically does like the butterfly with his legs. He goes.
I don't get it.
Has a hog.
Okay. I mean, I'm just thinking about like whapping my smelly crotch or something.
To pump it up.
Okay. Oh, that's part of the procedure. Part of the procedure. I got you.
They put like a valve, like one of those rafts. You just gotta like. Pump.
I've never looked into this product you speak of. I'm unfamiliar with it. I'm completely comfortable with the size of my penis. But pretty much the things we just mentioned are probably great ways to simply save money. I'm not going to go into detail how I'm going to save money. The plan is just to do it.
Yeah. I know for a fact that eating cooked meals from the house, I don't know why I broke it down like that. Just home cooked meals save you a shit ton than going out and eating fast food, because you're not going to hit the dollar menu all the time. Like for me, I do Starbucks all the time. Which I feel like there's other places.
That doesn't count as fast food, by the way, unless you bought food.
Well, here's
a coffee a day keeps the doctor away.
It's not just a coffee. Some like for the most part, I'll do like coffee and like a morning thing, like the lemon loaf or and that adds up. Now, I don't really see that too much of an issue because there's other places I could cut. I don't really need to start with Starbucks. That keeps me from probably like murdering.
Yeah. Let's not try to cut off our coffee intake. Yeah. Okay,
But there's times where I'll go to I'll go to like the fucking Chili's to go thing. I don't need a restaurant meal at lunch. I think there's a frog on my window or a toad.
I heard something that startled me. Simply just actually using all the groceries we purchase for the week, because I'm sure we throw away too much food because we don't do a good enough job of planning. We just go to the grocery store and like, oh, okay, we'll grab that. Maybe we'll make this. And it probably doesn't help that me and my wife combined only know like 10 meals like off the top of our head to make. Yeah. That limits what we eat.
We I cook, my wife cooks. We could cook meals. It's just it all comes down to like our willingness to do so. Like coming home. Again, my retail hours, I open sometimes, I close sometimes. When you're like working all night and you come home, last thing you want to do is start up in the kitchen. But then again, that's where like the meal prep comes in. Like you don't have to do it on nights that I close. I could do it on like normal days. But saving money for me, that's a big one because I get bonuses, monthly bonuses, and I see it as like a license to shop. Now, the reason I see it as a license to shop is because technically I see it as like that money doesn't really exist. That's extra. The more I sell, good job, Sith, and I use it as like just almost like if I'm like a little kid where I really don't need anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say I just came up with a much better idea than cutting off your coffee to help save you money.
Yeah, I play video games, but I don't buy that many video games. I usually just play the same
three. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I occasionally might add one. Like I just added Tom Clancy's The Division 2, and that was $14. So. That's not going to really break the bank. So what am I really spending the money on? I'll tell you what I'm spending the money on.
Dick enhancement pills.
What I'm wearing right now on top of my head. I like buying hats. Mm-hmm. And these things are like $35-$40 a pop. When you add shipping and handling, it gets up there. Shoes. I don't walk or run enough to have as many shoes as I have.
You just recently bought that underwear that like stops the odor when you fart.
What?
You haven't seen those?
No.
It has some like pad that apparently absorbs the odor from farts.
I feel like that pad would smell like shit, though.
I assume, yeah. I assume it's like the most vicious Dutch oven ever. Like
thought
just the second you drop your pants, it's just like.
See, I don't understand. We get those type of underwears. Women get those underwears that have like the little vibrator in them, and they can just control it with a keychain. I mean, you're stuck in traffic. You just go, and it's like good day.
I'm trying to think of like what's the opposite for a guy. Like you just have like some sort of
prosthetic hand that just reaches out from the grave.
Speaking of disgusting, because that's never getting washed.
But I do spend on a lot of dumb shit. Because even like if I were to do like a little tour of my office in here, there's a lot of money that I spent in this. But it's like once again, I don't really add anything to it that much. Like the latest thing I've added was this stuff, and it really wasn't that much. Like, where's all that money going to? I'll tell you where it's going to. It's going on again, hats, shoes, stupid shit I don't need. Food. Number one is going towards food. Like every time I get paid, I'm always like, oh, well, it's Friday. I'm going to go eat like Giordano's or something. And it's like $20 on like one fucking meal. I've done the math on weeks where I don't spend, aside from coffee, I don't spend anything else on food. And it's like a $200 difference. Like I'd be $200 richer a week if I just ate everything as a meal at home.
Mm-hmm. The fact that if you go to, I mean, I know you're exaggerating going to Giordano's every Friday, but I assume whatever replace that with
Chipotle's $15, Panda's $13.
That's I'm just $80 to $100 a month right there.
Yeah, and the problem is it's not just for like one meal. Like I'll like go to like Chipotle, for example, buy a burrito, gotta have my chips and guac, my drink. I can't even bring my own drink. I have to even get their drink. So that's like $15-$16. Then on the drive home, I'll swing by like McDonald's and have like another meal. Like, so it's, and instead of just coming home and even like eating a bowl of cereal, it's gonna like obviously help with when it comes to like my weight, but also like just funds. So money, I would love to have more money because then if I could save my bonus monies, then I could use that for other things like in the house. It's not necessarily, now it's really hard for me because I see it as my money. Like I won that. I went above and beyond to earn that. It's different when it's like your normal paycheck. That goes into my fund with my wife. We have, what's it called when you have one?
Joint.
We have a joint account.
We have a joint.
Where that money and her paycheck and my paycheck gets put all in the same one. But then my bonus I put into the Sith fund. But it's like I get a lot of money in that Sith fund, and it's like it just all fucking goes. It goes away so fast. And I look around, I'm like, the fuck did I even spend it on? Like, there's nothing in here that's new. There's a fucking another Chicago Cubs hat that I apparently needed.
You sound really upset with yourself right now. I didn't know this was the route this was going to take.
It's annoying because it's like I could save that money and like redo the floor, in the living room.
I mean, I just viewed the saving of money just for in case of emergency. Obviously, we purchase things. We do spend our money for the most part. We don't go nuts, but we usually try to have like a nice dinner once a month. We usually go on one vacation a year, things like that. We don't go too crazy with our money. But the sole purpose is like, I don't know if the fucking furnace goes out tomorrow. Now there's a fund that I gotta take care of. Also, we have a child that we eventually would like to go through college, and maybe the goal is to get him on his 2 feet without incurring any debt before his life even begins. Assuming the world hasn't like become water world. I prefer nuclear holocaust than water world. Or maybe in case, assuming the world hasn't drowned from global. Anyway, I'm just
assuming the world doesn't fall off the side from being flat.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, the world. Never mind. We don't believe it's flat, by the way.
No, we don't.
It's sarcasm.
We do believe that the people that do believe that it's flat,
fucking stupid.
Buy yourself a fucking telescope, man. Like I was actually looking into buying a telescope, not talking about like dumb purchases. But this is more for my 50-50, my kid and me.
I mean, that actually does sound kind of cool.
So when you buy something on Amazon, if it has enough reviews, you click on the reviews, they show pictures of the item. people were posting pictures of what they found, out there, and there's pictures of Saturn, Jupiter, their moons. You could easily fucking tell these things are sphere. Like there's no square Jupiter. So
well, it depends what angle you're looking at. Maybe it's a round,
like
flat.
a round square, yeah. But you could still, because of the shade, you could tell it's a fucking sphere. You know. Especially like the really, really good fucking telescopes. Like there was a picture of like Mars that I'm like, God damn, it's like, at first I thought it was like a blood moon. It was Mars, and it was like clearly a fucking ball.
I just wanted, like, the people that think it is flat, like, are they searching for the edge of the Earth then?
They don't want to.
Like, or do they think like the ocean just fucking runs off
and
the
it's
edge?
like a crazy waterfall.
That's why, yeah. That's all the climate issues.
Yeah. Why haven't we taken a picture from the edge?
Yeah.
I mean, I know
you
they
figure
have,
some weirdo would want to take like a selfie stick and try to hang from the edge and get one of those fucking photos that gives me like a heart attack.
I know that they have a fucking, like, at that point when you get asked that question as a flat earther, that's when they tend to go like, meh, and they don't want to hear. But even if you're like on a plane, you could tell that there's a bend to the sky. There's no flatness to it. And then simple things like a boat just goes over the edge once it goes far. I mean, listen, whatever.
Yeah,
Fuck you for bringing me to this point. Because I forgot what I was going to say. And now I'm upset. I was upset.
Money, New Year's resolution.
I was upset about throwing money away. Now I'm upset about this. But God damn it.
Maybe to reset the conversation, part of the reason we're putting this on the podcast, because we mentioned we have a hard time holding ourselves accountable for doing these things. So that's why we're putting this out in the universe so you guys can hold us accountable for it.
Maybe we could even do like where are we at after 30 days or 45 days? I hate resolutions. I even fucking hate saying it. Because I think it's just the big version of saying I'm going to start on Monday.
Yeah,
that's
why can't you exactly? Why can't you
start
do it
right now?
Yep.
But the one thing I really want to do this year is go back into the gym. I was a big gym junkie for a long time. I mean, it came with obviously if you're an athlete, you have to be at your peak physical, state, I guess. So you have to always stay current, stay working out and all that stuff. Once you're done, being out there competing, it's really easy to just say fuck everything and just go an opposite 180, which is kind of what I've done. But I do want to go back into the gym. Now the problem is, and I'm already getting annoyed and anxious about it. If I start going back to the gym in January, guess who I have to bump into?
Yeah. Every
other fucking guy and girl that wants to fucking start their New Year's resolution. I'm gonna hit the gym, and it's usually people it's a gym filled with people that have no idea what they're doing. They're doing weird shit with the machines. They don't understand what a dumbbell's for, and they're doing some fucking crazy ass calisthenics.
Yeah.
So I have to deal with that, and like I'm already like ugh, but I could maybe start January, like the entire month of January, watching what I'm eating, trying to cut weight. Because my problem is when I go to the gym, I'll gain like 10 to 20 pounds before I start losing the weight. And a lot of that is because it's really hard for me to go and do light work at the gym. When I go into the gym, my brain still thinks I'm like in my 20s, and I'm just going to try to just throw on as much weight as possible and do crazy shit, which usually ends up in me getting hurt.
That's what
like last 3 times that I've convinced myself to start working out again, I've had a pec pull and 2 hamstrings. So I need to relax a little bit, but I do gain a lot of weight. So then I look like this big fucking just Shrek looking dude. It would be nice to maybe lose 10 to 15 pounds of fat and then start going to the gym.
Maybe start dieting the beginning of the year.
Right.
Wait for all those fucking people that are gonna fall off the bandwagon within
by February. They're gone.
There you go. Boom. We just got you. We just set you up right there.
Yeah. Maybe we could do like a YouTube video of like a progression. Maybe do pics.
I could be like that one guy from Rocky yelling at you.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Yeah.
The one thing that I know would make sure that I get held accountable is if I literally take a like topless picture right now and put it on Instagram and be like, I'm gonna check in 6 months later, because then I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna feel like fucking dog shit if it if it looks the same.
I-
You're lucky that you have a little bit of metabolism going for you. But that might be a double-edged sword, though, because then there's nothing telling you need to slow down. Because being overweight or gaining weight is a whole lot different than cholesterol. You can't tell if you're gaining more cholesterol.
No, I don't even want to know. I'm sure. One issue, by the way, I advocate for a bottomless photo on Instagram as well.
I do carry a lot of my weight on my ass. Just do like a bend over, like a pig.
Yeah, I've probably been the same weight since I was like 18 years old. I mean, I really don't do anything. That's why I don't like lift or pick out too often. But I'm now at an awkward like skinny fat stage. So like I'm thin, but I'm not like toned or anything like that. So that's not ideal. The dad bod is coming in, but like there's no muscle under it. No. So again, I'm not really too concerned about lifting or anything. I just need to be a healthier being. I want to be able to like go up a flight of steps without getting tired. But that's my goal. Ultimately, I guess it's maybe a double-edged sword for me. I do find New Year's resolutions a little obnoxious. I just think often they're made to just because everyone's doing them. That's not at all. I legitimately this year's ended a little stressful for myself and my wife. Just it's been a lot going on these past few weeks. It feels like there's a lot of clutter in my mind going. So I like the thought of just maybe a blank slate and starting over. But like these are things I am 110% committing to as well.
I'm glad you set that whole clutter in your brain or mind, because that's the other side effect of working out that I sometimes hate, that I don't work out enough. So I get like the winter blues sometimes. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say I have seasonal depression. I can still function. I hate when people say seasonal depression, because depression is a word that you should be using when you're literally clinically depressed, not when you're just feeling a little like, I need a little sunlight.
It's cloudy outside.
Yeah, I'm a little stressed at work. I'm depressed. Like depression is a clinical issue.
And human beings 100% suffer from that.
Yeah, but they also say it, I think, a little too much. It's like when people say, that's hilarious. It's like, okay, it's not.
My point is you're discrediting the people that are actually suffering from it.
Exactly. But I do feel better mentally when I have been working out.
Healthy body, healthy mind. Is that the phrase?
Well,
the
I think
cliche?
it just puts me at a state of just calm.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I work out and I put so much energy, and I mean, I don't, when I go to the gym, I'm not just running around the elliptical, like, fucking checking my watch and looking at sports. Like when I go to the gym, I'm putting some heavy weights. I'm going hard. I'm going crazy. And I put a lot of force, anger, everything, stress into it, that when I'm done, it's like, I'm just so relaxed. Like I'm not like stressed. I'm not anxious. I don't have any anger in me. I'm just what's the word when you're like, just like in a positive way, I'm going to say this, but like you're just numb. Like you're just feeling good.
Euphoria.
Yeah.
So it's also like if you are maybe struggling in your personal life, struggling at work with certain goals of that matter. I guess I'm not entirely sure what it is. Working out, gaining weight, losing weight, whatever goal you're trying to obtain. I don't want to say simple, but yes, it's a simple goal to go tackle, and maybe it snowballs in the rest of your life. It's not very complicated. Listen, I want to lose weight. Well, go on a diet,
right?
Or work out more, run more, exercise more. Like it may be physically tough and it may be mentally tough getting there, but like the concept, the process through going through it, to getting to it is simple.
Right. It's not brain science. Okay. It's all literally just will, like willpower of doing it, whatever route you want to take, or like whatever route I want to take. Like, do I want to do just to eat healthy? I know that the way my body works, if I'm going to the gym every day, I don't need to necessarily watch what I eat. My body's going to lose a lot of weight because I put that much energy and effort into the gym. But maybe I should just find like a happy halfway point where like I don't need to go to the gym 5 to 7 days a week, but maybe just 3 days a week, a good hour and a half in the gym, good gym session, but only doing it like 3 days a week, might keep me in the gym more. Because again, like what's usually has gotten me to walk away from the gym is either I got injured for going too hard, thinking that I still have a youthful body and I don't, or not necessarily a youthful body, but a body that's used to doing what I'm trying to get it to do. It almost like goes into shock. Like it's like, whoa. We can't just not be doing jack shit for 2 years and then all of a sudden think you're going to be able to rep 225 30 times.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not how it's going to work. But maybe if I just find like a happy medium where I don't get burned out from going to the gym, I go 3 times a week, but then I make sure that I'm eating healthy and all that stuff. I should use it. I mean, if there's one thing out there that should motivate me is like, I want to try to live as long as possible so I could see my kid as long as possible. I want to be able to play catch with her and do sports and not be like just, barely able to move, which I think I'll be fine with in that regards. That's just an example. But it's finding a good reason and then sucking it up until you start seeing the results. Because like once you start seeing the results, again, in my experience, because I've done this my whole life until within the last 10 years. Once you start seeing the results and you start feeling good, then that becomes addictive. Then it's like, okay, well, I want to keep going. Obviously, that could also turn negative, but so can anything else. But it's a good reward to see, obviously, the changes physically and just how you look and how things are fitting. It feels better just because I'm sure it does stuff to your the stuff that's in here. What's it called?
Your brain. I don't know.
Then what makes you feel better? Serotonin?
Midichlorians. No, that's what Jedis use. Never mind.
It helps in everything. It helps it, like, again, physically. It helps mentally. And you could climb up a staircase and not feel fucking winded. There's a lot of positive results. It's just literally getting out there and fucking doing it. And it sucks, at least I think in both our cases, we don't live next to each other. Mm-hmm. So when I always did the best when it came to working out is when I had a buddy.
Exactly. It's boring doing it by yourself.
Right. And
it's nice to have someone just pushing you too. Like that last set, you're going to like, whatever. But like that other person there just like, don't, whatever, sorry for the language, because I've always apologized, but don't be a bitch, Just suck it up, I guess.
Or just a different way of pushing, you don't want to go today, but I'm like, listen, let's just go today. Let's
man up. Yeah, let's remove that bitch part, by the way. Anyway.
No, bitch. Okay, I'm not, listen, it's not, we're not using it as a derogatory term. It's, don't be a bitch. It's like, don't be a pussy.
And, yeah, I mean, I guess ultimately to bring it back a little bit, you mentioned positive results, and that's the whole reason I have positivity, I guess. I just want to be happy. Not saying I'm not happy, but I want to be more happy. Having a healthy body, you just generally feel better, like just is to go back to the water thing. If I had $1 over the past year that I'm just kind of feeling a little like just lazy. I don't want to say lethargic, but that's the best word coming to mind. And I just have like a glass of water and immediately I'm like, oh, okay, I feel great now. Like that's it. I was just a little dehydrated. And so I was just like, I'm not a 16, 18, 20-year-old kid anymore. All of a sudden I'm just like, ugh.
The crazy thing, and this doesn't just apply for what we're talking about, this really applies for everything, is it's really easy to do nothing. But there's really no reward. If you think about it, like I get no reward from not cooking at home, not meal prepping, not working out, not trying to save money, not trying to drink more water. Like there's no fucking reward aside from that quick little, well, at least I don't get to do shit today. But that's it. But if you were to do all these things, sure, they do take effort, but then there's so much positive reward from it. But it's like, for whatever reason, the way the human mind works, you'd rather just not do shit.
I mean, I guess I know exactly the reason is the one thing about doing nothing is like you don't worry about failure. You don't think like that's not an option anymore. Like I'm only failing because I'm not trying. Like I guess that's the mental gymnastics you use, which I'm not I guess I would be against. I think that's a ridiculous way to live your life. Not saying I'm going around fucking doing cartwheels everywhere and knocking down walls, but you mentioned your child. I don't want my son to think that I'm just this lazy homebody or something.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I look at my daddy, fucking started a podcast and didn't give a fuck what anyone else said about it.
Right.
And who cares if he has 30 listeners or 3 million listeners? He went out and he tried something.
I don't like I do see the whole failing thing. I think to me, my problem personally is I always complain about having to do shit. Like I always like on my days off, I don't want to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I want to just sleep in, watch TV, come downstairs, play video games, do nothing. But when I take like 4 days off, if I do that for 4 days, I feel almost more stressed out and more anxious because I haven't done anything rewarding. I haven't done anything positive. Where if I were to do things, whether or not I want to do them right then and there, because I probably don't. It's like when you go to the gym, you don't want to go to the gym, but once you go and you're in there and you start working out and you leave, you feel 100 times better. But convincing your fucking brain that it's like a good idea to actually do this is sometimes hard. Like for me, it's sometimes impossible because my brain is constantly trying to negotiate with me how to do less. Like I have to force myself to do more. Like just do it. Just do it. You'll feel good. You'll get rewarded because you just did something versus, listen, as much as you think that sitting around watching paint dry might be cool because you're technically not doing anything and somehow you're rewarding yourself for having a day off, doesn't get me any, like it literally doesn't get me anything.
And like time now is so fleeting.
Yeah.
As like you think about high school and Christmas break, how that I felt like it is a month long. Like I remember Christmas break and I'd by the end of it I'm like I want to get back to school, I'm bored. And now like it was just Halloween a day ago and now we're a week away from when this post it's gonna be 2020 in like 3 days. So
it's
2020.
Time does go by super fast, and it's scary how fast it goes. Which is like you can't really keep saying, or I'm not. This isn't necessarily a podcast trying to convince you guys. We're trying to convince ourselves. Yeah. We can't really keep telling ourselves, just wait, just do it later, because you blink and 2 years go by. Mm-hmm. But I guess enough of the health shit. What else you want to do in 2020?
So quick segue. Now I figure speak on maybe work / the pod. Mm-hmm. Not because I don't really want to delve too deep in like what I do or what you do necessarily, but I definitely I've been at my job for it will be 2 full years. I started in January of 2018. So 2020 will be I'll be starting my 3rd year. I simply just want to take on more responsibility, maybe carry my weight a little bit better. It's just maybe on a personal and a company-wide thing, just better organization, and maybe that's something I could tackle myself to help organize us better. But I want to be a little bit more focused on what I do. I kind of feel like midway through the year, I kind of lost my way a little bit there, and I guess I don't want to go too in depth about our issues at work. So I want to carry my weight, I guess.
Yeah, I don't usually think about work as much. There's obviously a lot of room for improvement in any realms. I wish I was maybe a little more. This would be so I've become a store manager. So this would be my 2nd year as a store manager. I guess I would rather be more on top of things. Like don't get me wrong, I don't like forget things, but I also tend to procrastinate a little bit and make sure. Again, don't get me wrong, it gets done, and it gets done on time. But sometimes I'll wait. I'm like, you know what? That's something I'll do on Tuesday because it's usually a slower day, and I'll just do it then.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same way.
But then sometimes Tuesday comes around and something else happens, and then now all of a sudden you're doing like 3 things, and now it's like, fuck, I wish I would have done this on Monday. So just do it when I have the option to do it. And then if Tuesday comes around, it's a slow fucking day, then it is what it is. But like, if I have the opportunity to get something done, get it done, and then not worry about it. I guess ultimately is whatever I can do to give myself less stress.
I suppose
Preemptively,
to pull it back a little bit more, I work in construction. In the field specifically, I work in. I really knew nothing about when I started, and it was kind of I joined the team and learn as you go. And I guess maybe I don't feel like I've at this point. I reflect on the last 2 years, and I'm not where I'd like to be, and it's starting to kind of eat away at me. Luckily, this time of the year, we kind of get some time off from work, so I have a kind of just reset the whole thing, start from a blank canvas, like just create a list of goals and go tackle them.
Yeah, now as you were talking, I thought of something else that I definitely need to work on as a leader, and it's tough because I'm very old school. My brain, and I was raised by a man who was born in the 40s, but technically his brain was born in the 1740s. So I was raised by like a medieval human, and I'm a true believer that if you want something done right, you do it yourself, especially when I know what I'm doing. However, with that being said, it really doesn't help my team members, the people underneath me, grow. Mm-hmm. I need to do a better job of delegating. Again, my brain treats delegating as I'm being lazy and I don't want to do it myself, and I don't trust these motherfuckers. I need to do a little bit of both. I need to be able to trust them. If they fail, then, coach them, but I remember when I first started at the company that I work at, we had a very well-oiled machine, and that's because everyone did their part. Right now, I do essentially everything because I trust myself and no one else. And I need to do, I think, a better job of, just for one, developing my team members, because it's good for them to know what to do just in case they ever have an opportunity to get promoted. And it would be less on my plate, and it goes back to a well-oiled machine. I feel like when I'm not there, just everything goes to hell. Yep. And that's not their fault. It's my fault because I don't prepare them to be able to run the store on their own.
I was the same way when I'm not in a situation that I'm a supervisor or manager or what have you anymore. But when I worked as a manager, one, training was not my strong suit, especially like if we want to go back into the whole retail corporate, like their training program is just so out of whack too. It's so generic, and ultimately it's not even really that great of a guideline. But I also get over the grand scheme of things when you have over like 400 stores and however thousands of employees, it's tough to create a generic training program. But anyway, I used to hate going on vacation knowing that I was going to come back with just a stack of shit that I had to clean up, but that also falls on me. My assistant should have been better prepared, and I mean, I guess I held him accountable, and he had to hear about it when I came back, but ultimately it's still issues I had to resolve. I guess maybe I wonder, even from your standpoint, talk about playing sports. We can probably let it be known you were a first baseman in baseball. Like it's different when you're the player and you're only concerned about yourself. Now all of a sudden when you're the coach and you have to, Joe Madden couldn't, like, you want something done right, do it yourself. He couldn't go out there, pitch, hit, and like you can only do so much. You
have to set up your team for success. Mm-hmm. My other issue with this, as I'm sitting here thinking about it too, is I in a way punish them by not teaching them, because here's what I used to do when I was in their position. I would go to my store manager and ask him, "Hey, how do you do this?" Mm-hmm. I took the bull by the horns. I was always wanting to learn, hey, are you doing like the business report? How do you do that? Oh, okay. And he was always available. But I made the first move. I showed that I want to learn to do this, to grow, to be ready for the next step. I have a problem with some of these millennials who just sit around and they're like, well, I was never trained that. Yeah, but you sit around for 8 hours looking at your phone. What are you doing?
Sure.
So it's sure, you could point the finger at me that I'm not doing a good job of training you, but you're also not doing anything to better yourself. We have technically we have all of our training manuals. If you want to learn how to do anything in our business, it's all underneath our front desk, all in binders. We even have stuff online where you could train. They do nothing of it. But then when they don't know something, they come to me and be like, hey, how do you do this? Where it's like, I wasn't like that when I was a peasant, a part-timer, or a cash. Like, I always wanted to learn more. I wanted to know what my supervisors did and do it as good as them and better. And that's how I've technically just sprinted up the ranks in retail.
I have to kick back on your millennial comment here. I've trained boomers, Generation X, and millennials, and it's happens in every generation.
It was a joke.
Yeah,
people suck, period.
Yeah.
The work ethic has gone downhill no matter how old you are.
And I don't know if it's just like God, I don't even know where to take it from this point. But some just human beings.
Yeah.
I've worked with such just lazy, shitty human beings that if I had $1 for I wasn't trained that comment, man, that annoys the fuck. I'm like, I'm taken aback right now, just letting that swirl through my mind, because that I've heard that excuse so many times, and I was the same way. I learned as I went too, and if I wasn't trained that, then shit, I wasn't trained. That is what it is. I mean, I suppose to reflect better on myself and saying, if you want something done right, do it yourself. My boss, the owner of the company, I think he often does that. I think he takes on a lot of responsibility, a lot. And there's a good period in time when I would be like, okay, the week would start off and I'd be like, hey, I would literally just, what is on your plate this week? I would write up a to-do list of what he has to work on, and I would try to just nip away at it. And somewhere along the line, we just kind of got away from that. That's something I want to refocus on. Like, okay, I shouldn't rely on him to tell me what I need to do, or simply, if I am, I should go find him and be like, what needs to be done? And even if I don't know how to do this specific thing, how could just help me help you, sort of thing.
But going back to the whole generational thing, one of the worst things about older people is they're set in their ways, and they are. I've met very few of them that are able to change from what they are used to doing or would rather do. It's the same.
I mean, whether young or old, they're set in their way, and they don't want to. They just whether they want to learn or don't want. Maybe they're just incapable. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. And younger, they just don't have that skill set yet. So sometimes either or, it's still a deer in headlights.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, it's tough to find good people out there. I've seen from just the people we hire, some are okay, some are decent, some are awful.
I was that dumb millennial too, or a new employee. When I started working at a hardware store and did not know a thing, a home improvement store. I didn't know a thing. I started in the flooring department. I didn't know linoleum, vinyl, carpet. I didn't know a thing about any of it. I knew it went on the floor.
Right.
But same thing. I didn't know that if someone's looking for a framing nail, I'd be like, what is that? Just what do you mean nail? On your fingernails?
Yeah.
There are many a times I embarrassed myself in that store.
Now, did you go out of your way to you yourself then start learning what it was?
Sure. I mean, I was timid. I was young. I mean, I was 18, but it was I was definitely out of my comfort zone. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty good, generally speaking. If you're going to put me in an uncomfortable situation, I suppose I don't mind it, but man, if I don't know what I'm talking about or just anything about this scenario, I'm not very good at I guess thinking on my feet. I can handle confrontation and conflict just fine if I know the issue I'm tackling. But if I don't, I'm probably just going to be and just stare at you because I don't know. Especially if I'm learning as I go. And that's some of the issues I've ran into in my current job. Again, there's a lot of things a lot of us within the company are learning for the first time. And I just needed to get used to feeling like an idiot sometimes.
Yeah, The thing I have now with a lot of our employees or employees that I see come through the grapevine is that when they get stuck not knowing something, they're okay not knowing something, and they won't go. Like I remember when I didn't know something, I would make a little list. I would be like, I don't go ahead and review this.
Yeah.
When I was done, I'd go back, grab the training guide, just go through it, ask questions to my higher ups. Hey, if you were to get asked this question, how would you answer it? Like I would try to make sure that I knew more than everyone else. That any scenario can occur and I would know what the answer is. But I feel like a lot of people nowadays, they're just like, nah, I don't give a fuck. Whatever. If it comes up again, I'll just be like, hey, Sith, versus try to find the answer on my own.
I mean, that's how it used to be at the hardware store as well. Like I didn't really respect a lot of people around me, so I would just try to learn about their departments because it seemed like I would waste more time trying to find someone to. It got to the point that I just, I probably knew more about that store than most people, and I was there for a while. I should have, but like you should always be trying to just take on new information. One good thing about the end of this year at work is I've had to work on the field a lot, and you kind of get an idea of what the guys in the field deal with. And understand like where their struggles come from.
Yeah. I mean, we could probably do a whole podcast episode on work ethics because I think between you and I, we both have very, very close opinions on just the amount of shit that's out there. But the other thing I wanted to
a lot of shit
try to do in 2020, this is more fun stuff.
Oh yeah.
I
have LASIK?
No, I got perfect vision. I want to, because I've been saying this for like the last 3 years, and I end up only going to like 2. I want to go to more Cubs game.
I want to one up that and go to like more baseball games. I really would like a road trip to Pittsburgh or something.
Oh, okay, so like other stadiums?
It could be the Cubs, but I assume like Pittsburgh or Cincinnati would be like a cheap ticket.
Pittsburgh is a nice place. I have a coworker of mine that went to Pittsburgh. I can't think of it. Is it PNC Park? From what they told me, they almost have like a campus out and back where you could just like bar hop, you could drink outside, and it's one of the most beautiful backdrops to a fucking stadium.
On television, it just looks breathtaking.
I mean, in pictures, it looks amazing.
Them in San Francisco, those are like the 2 baseball stadiums I desperately want. I more than like New York or Boston. I guess New York's a new stadium.
Yeah.
But like Fenway, whatever. I'd like to see it. And I'd like to knock it off the list, but we have Wrigley, which is
right. There's definitely something about Yankee Stadium. There's like that whole. It's the Yankees, it's holy ground. But yeah, PNC Park is so fucking pretty. But yeah, I definitely want to go to more Cubs game, like just afternoon games. Yep.
I work like a half an hour from the stadium. Yeah. It always drives me. I'm like, I could come in the morning and like be there leave at noon and get there just in time.
Yeah, because we've been wanting to go to like 5 games and always ends up just being 1 or 2. I wouldn't be opposed to going to a White Sox game. It's just such a more pain in the ass to get to that stadium. Like, I get it. You could drive there and it's easier, but it's just.
It depends who they're playing. Yeah, if they're playing like nobody, way easier to get to because there's just not as much traffic. But like, say if they're playing the Yankees or the Cubs, it is just a pain in the. I mean, both Comiskey or what I forget what it's called now.
Guaranteed rate.
Guaranteed Rate and Wrigley are both just such a pain in the ass. Like Miller Park in Milwaukee, from my doorstep to like my seat, I can probably get there in the same time as I could get to Wrigley or Comiskey. I'm just going to keep calling it that.
Yeah.
I'm not a Brewers fan, but I do love Miller Park too. But it was built this century.
Right. I guess we're just used to going to Wrigley. Like we know like the route. You get on the train. You can drink on the train. Starting next year, you could do other things in the train.
A couple more podcasts from now, we might have something extra in a hand.
But like, I enjoy that. I enjoy having like a few beers on the train or like a pre-made cocktail, getting out there, and just like the whole day drinking thing.
I mean, and with that said, Wrigley, like they've created a campus too, and it's a lot. It's real nice. It's awesome. I think it's called Brick House. We almost always go to that restaurant.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure it's called Brick House.
It's either the Brick House or Brickyard, but I think it's Brick House.
It's right outside the stadium, right outside damn it, I forget what the park's called. It doesn't matter. There's
It's towards the left field foul line.
and there's a Cubs store right there. It's just it's a much more pleasant experience than it used to be. And I guess Comiskey does kind of have a campus as well. Now that I think about it, but it's nice that there's if you get there early enough, there's easy parking. But that's if you get there, like that's again if no one's playing, you can get parking or you can buy a parking pass and park at the old stadium. But if you miss that, it's just like Wrigley. You're trying to park in a neighborhood.
Listen, we got to come to a close here soon, but I want to say this. I'm sure it's going to get a lot of heat from White Sox fans. But before I go with what I'm going to say, listen, I'm partial to the Cubs, okay? I'm a Cubs fan. I really don't care about the White Sox. I don't hate you. I don't go out and start shit-talking you for no reason. But there's one thing I got to say is when I go to Wrigley, it seems like the environment at Wrigley is a whole lot different.
It's a party.
Yeah, it's a party. Yeah. People are out there. Chicks are looking good. People are out there drinking, like it's
making cup snakes.
It's like what I would picture like just one big neighborhood party. When you go to Guaranteed Rate, it's like everyone's just. I mean, I get it, your team's ass, but everyone's just kind of like morose, and the people that are drinking should have probably been cut off hours ago. And I don't get that same friendly environment, which maybe that's why they call Wrigley the friendly.
Definitely feel like
whatever.
White Sox fans, and I don't want to generalize things. I try not to, but here I go. Feel like they got like little brother syndrome, which I get it. I do. Like Cubs are the more popular team.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Listen, Yankees and Mets.
Yeah, but in like the Yankees or Mets defense, like there's a reason they've won more championships than any team.
True.
Like, the Cubs and the White Sox are both like the two worst franchises in the history.
Yeah.
That's the other weird thing. Like, but I think they both have the same amount of World Series. I think they only have 2 or 3 World Series between them, and both of those were in the early 1900s, or most of those were in the early 1900s. But the Cubs they are in a cooler neighborhood.
Well, I mean, and I think at the end of the day, that's what it is. Just Comiskey is just in such a weird location, and I'm not even going to criticize that it's in a quote unquote bad neighborhood or it's like all the way towards the south side. It's more of like how close it is to like the heart of the city.
Yeah, I agree.
When you go out or not go out, but when you're like watching games on TV. And they'll have certain stadiums where there's like no one in there. Like, for example, Tampa Bay. It's not in Tampa Bay. It's in St. Petersburg in the middle of a factory neighborhood. Like there are no homes out there. So in order to get to this place, you have to make a long ass commute, which is not worth it. Like especially when you play 162 games, 80 something at home. If it was football,
81.
It's a little different. Because football, it's, you're only going to get a handful of games, so everyone makes a commute for the most part. But when it's that many games, you're not going to make that commute. It's easy to sell out Wrigley because it's in the heart of the city. Miami's another stadium. It's nowhere near the heart of Miami.
I imagine most of the newer stadiums they just found like a bare piece of land and they're like, we're building here.
Yeah, but it's like... It's stupid if you think about like if you want this to make revenue, you got to have it close to the city. Like if Guaranteed Rate Field would close down and they would open it up in like Lakeshore Drive, guarantee it gets just as packed as Wrigley.
So if like the Cubs moved out to like Schaumburg and remained the Chicago Cubs, do you think?
I don't think it would have that many people.
I mean, I think
it'd still have more than Guaranteed Rate. I just don't think it would be like 40,000.
No, I definitely think I still think the worst thing that happened to them is winning a World Series as far as like revenue. Like they're going to eat right now over these next few years, but as the team keeps going down, like bitterness is going to come out. And it has come out. Like the whole lovable loser thing is gone. Now you're just going to be losers. We got our title, and everyone always wanted to be a part of that first one. Yeah. And now it's gone.
We're going to have a podcast on the Cubs and the Bears, and
we'll have just preview the season, or
just like a recap of like what happened to both these teams.
Probably one of both.
But I do like one of my biggest criticisms, and I'm just as guilty, is when it comes to the Cubs, is so many people I know said, "Listen, I'll be happy if we just win one."
Mm-hmm.
and now it's like it's expected to be every single year.
Yeah, you win one, you think you're the Yankees.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm the same way. Like I going through the season, it's
okay to lose.
Yeah, it was torture. Even the season afterwards, they've had I'm not even. We'll revisit. I'm gonna go off on a tangent here for the next half an hour. We'll reset this. Maybe we should do our podcast New Year's resolution. I guess what I was thinking is simply, obviously, more content for Instagram, YouTube.
Yeah.
Those seem like gimme putts as far as resolutions, and maybe we haven't really discussed how many podcasts to do. I want to just keep a weekly rotation. I think going forward, assuming we're gonna be able to find time to do 52 podcasts next year, seems a little unlikely. Maybe set it at like 44 or something like that. Because obviously vacations may happen here. 52 seems kind of daunting. I ideally would like to keep pumping one out every single week. I also want to be realistic about it.
Yeah, we don't want to. I mean, just same thing with like the whole working out. You don't want to put your expectations too high and then force yourself to fail. I think we've been doing a decent job, obviously, because we haven't missed a single week so far.
Still fun for me, at least.
Yeah.
So as long as like that fire's still there, I'm gonna keep coming.
And it always helps, obviously, for our own benefit. Is the more episodes we have, the better chances we have for this to become a bigger thing. So I'm optimistic that we could do 52. If we start getting on a roll where we could do multiple ones in one sitting, then we could maybe one day debate whether or not we could even do twice a week.
Sure, yeah. That's twice a week. It really just comes down to like the content. I don't know if we have enough content. At least I don't feel comfortable enough putting myself. I would love to do a couple.
Yeah, but
I would love to do one every single day and just call this my job.
Yeah, I agree. If that was the case, we'd have one every day. But yeah, I guess to do more Instagram work, make sure we post more on Instagram, be a little bit more active on Twitter. YouTube should be coming up here soon. I keep saying it will, but we're still working on having an intro, which we should have finished today. So hopefully once that gets done, you'll see this on YouTube. But yeah, essentially just keep chipping away.
Yeah, just keep working on the craft. I personal goals for myself is just work on speaking up. I mumble quite a bit, especially when I start getting real comfortable. You've probably noticed maybe the beginning of the pod, I'll be clear and crisp, and then as the pod goes on, the more comfortable I get, I kind of start fading away from the mic and start mumbling. I'm gonna try to work on that. Try to maybe not say or like fuck all the time when I'm trying to think. Maybe just have more thoughtful opinions for the most part. We kind of spitball things, but maybe I believe I need a little bit better preparation, and then just keep banging these things out every week. And I personally believe it keeps getting better and better, and as long as I feel like the product is getting better, I'm going to keep doing it. As long as I'm having fun, I'm going to keep going.
Yep, and we definitely want to get some new seating, and but first priority is get some headsets. Once we get some headsets, you probably won't hear us do this a lot, where you can't really hear me that good until I come up to the mic, because we would be able to hear ourselves. But anyways, hopefully you enjoy that one. Happy New Year's. Hopefully all your 2020 resolutions come to play. Just stick with them. We're going to try to stick with ours. Feel free to shoot questions on our social media and ask us if we're still doing it. By all means, keep us accountable. It would definitely help if you guys are making a point to check up on us.
And then maybe do we have like our email attached to these?
We do.
Okay, if anyone, I've had people reach out to me before, and maybe they've mentioned they want to ask questions and things of that nature. You can email us, or you can simply text me. I mean, obviously a lot of our family and friends listen to this, but you can always, if there's anything you want us to touch on, any questions you have for us, feel free to ask us. You help make the content for us.
Yeah, even if it's like specific scenario, like, hey Sith, I'm going through this issue with my girlfriend. What do you think? Like stuff like that. Yeah. By all means, we would love to answer that type of shit.
We're not doctors, but we will certainly give you our opinion.
Exactly. So, but yeah. Again, hopefully you enjoy this one. Brad, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, fuck yourself hard, Brad.
Let that be your resolution, motherfucker. And we'll see you next week.
Toodles.